Hello there everyone and welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone's having a good day. And today we're going to be talking about one of the best 1v1 duelists in Star Wars and obviously in Battlefront, Count Dooku. Now obviously today, just like every other hero guide, I'll be going over the base stats such as the health, the damage, the stamina, as well as the abilities with Lightning Stun, Duelist, Expose Weakness, as well as some star cards and tips for Galactic Assault, HV and Showdown, as well as 1v1s. Getting right into the base stats, he has a base health of 750 and a base health regen of 250. Obviously that health regen can be increased to 370 with Sith Control, which is the second highest for all the heroes in the game, as well as he has a health regen delay of 5 seconds. Now, moving on to the damage. This is where things get very complicated. I'm going to be going over every single possible damage outcome for Dooku in this space, so strap in. His base damage is 130 in the front, 160 in the back. Duelist by itself increases that to 155 in the front and 210 in the back. And just to clarify with initiative, it increases each hit by 50 for every 15 seconds. That is, again, one hit that gives a damage increase of 50. Its Expose Weakness gives the opponent 20% damage, basically increase, or damage, 20% more damage, as well as Dominance makes it 40%. So getting right into the basically the entire damage output of Dooku. With Expose Weakness, without Duelist or Dominance or Initiative, you have 156 in the front and 192 in the back. With Duelist and base Expose Weakness, without Initiative, you have 186 in the front, 252 in the back, and then with Dominance, we get 182 in the front without Duelist, and 224 in the back, again without Duelist. With Duelist, Expose Weakness, and Dominance, we have 217 in the front, 294 in the back. Now, obviously that isn't the final. For every damage statistic that I just laid out, Initiative adds 50 for at least the first hit, and Masterful Duelist adds 20 damage to any of the Duelist values that are laid out here. So as you can tell, it takes a lot of math. But just to go over, the most damage you can deal with Dooku is with these 3 star cards: Masterful Duelist, Initiative, and Dominance. So with all 3 of those cards, plus Duelist and Expose Weakness active, the most you can get in a single hit with Dooku is 315 in the front and 392 in the back. Unbelievable. And by the way, if you are running all 3 of those cards and you get 2 hits in the back, it does 714 damage in 2 hits. Enough to kill Yoda without Jedi, I believe Jedi Mentor, and enough to kill every single blaster hero in the game, assuming they don't have health cards like Chewie or Lando. It can kill everyone else. It is unbelievable. Now, with damage out of the way, we can finally get to the more simplistic stuff and more straightforward stuff. We have his stamina. Now, Dooku has one of the faster swings, with 2 swings a second. I know it may not feel like it sometimes, but he actually does have that. He has 14 swings and 14 blocks, which is above average for the most part. And this can be increased to 19 swings and 19 blocks with the Finesse Star card. His stamina regen delay is 2 seconds, and his stamina regen speed is 2.1 seconds. So you'll never really find that stamina is really a huge issue. Now, moving on to his abilities, we have Lightning Stun on the left ability. Its damage does 160 to non-heroes and 122 heroes. Now, this damage does go down for every target hit up to 5 targets, minus 10 damage, just to be clear. So, again, if you're hitting 5 targets, it will deal 110 damage instead of 160 to all of them. As well as, obviously, it decreases similarly with heroes. It does have a very quick 14-second cooldown and can be decreased to 10 with the star card. Moving right along to Dooku's middle ability, which is quite possibly his most famous, you have Duelist. Now, I'm gonna say this right now. I'm not going through those damage profiles again. You can go back through and watch and listen to all the damage values being going through. But just obviously to reiterate, the base Duelist damage is 155 in the front, 210 in the back. It increases his swing speed significantly, and you do notice it, to 3 seconds. The duration is 10 seconds, and the cooldown is 13 seconds. However, that cooldown can be lowered to 9 seconds. Now, with that said, something not mentioned on the overlay is there is a Duelist glitch. You will find it randomly most of the time with when you dodge and put away your saber as Duelist is ending. You will somehow keep the Duelist animations, so you keep the 3 swings per second, but the damage does not convert over. So it is an interesting glitch. I get it randomly. My boy Sharpshooter knows how to do it very well, but I am not one to do it. Now, finally, we have his right ability, which is Expose Weakness. I'm, again, not going through the damage profile of Expose Weakness, but again, just to reiterate the basics, it does remove any bonus health on a selected target, that being Finn or any of his affected allies, or Yoda and any of his affected allies. It also does significantly slower movement on the target, as well as does 20% more damage on the target that you hit, and obviously that can be increased to 40%. It does last 5.5 seconds and can be increased to 7.5 seconds. It does have a 16-second cooldown by base. However, it is important to note, there's a reason there's a star there, is because if you kill the selected target, you get Exposed Weakness back immediately. No questions about it. But honestly, in a mode like HPV or Showdown, that really doesn't matter that much. But it's there just so you know. Now, moving on to the Galactic Assault star cards and tips. We have, starting off, in my opinion, these are the 3 star cards that I use, Sith Control, Last Seconds, and Balanced Duelist. Now, those are the 3 main ones that I think benefit Dooku, as it allows the cooldowns to be as minimal as possible while allowing him to basically regen any taken damage, as Dooku has like no ranged abilities. Yeah, Lightning Stun can count, but again, he just isn't great in normal Galactic Assault. Now, in Heroes Unleashed, or I guess Unlimited Power, he was fantastic, as you're able to swing spam your opponents to death consistently, and you can deal with the Finn very effectively. But I digress, as he really isn't the best hero. He's probably the hardest for streaking in the game, so we'll get into that. But just as some other cards that I want to talk about, we have Masterful Duelist, and the only reason it's there is just so I can explain to you why it's bad. You do not need it for almost any character. It doesn't actually affect how much damage you do, or at least time to kill. It obviously affects the damage that you do, but it doesn't actually affect the specific time to kill against heroes or even troopers for that matter. Then we have Initiative, which I think is a fantastic card to run in Galactic Assault. I just don't particularly see it as the best card to run in this type of scenario. Then we have Finesse, which again is a good card. It's just a flat stamina increase. I just really don't think stamina is that useful to worry about in Galactic Assault, as I think it's very easy to manage. Now, just as some general tips with Dooku, now I am not the greatest Dooku player in Galactic Assault. In fact, I am not very good with Dooku in Galactic Assault at all. I don't really play him. However, I will say this: Dooku is very maneuverable with 3 dodges. He doesn't have the greatest mobility. He's not Kylo or Grievous, and he's certainly not Maul. However, he deals a shitload of damage at once. So you don't want to go into like crowds trying to crowd clear. You really do want to take it one enemy at a time. Now, if you do end up in a crowd and you can swing spam the living hell out of them, then it does work. But just be very careful of your health as you have no ranged abilities. So you really do have to close the distance by using your dodges effectively and really understanding your positioning. Basically, with Dooku, positioning is very important, and so that's really all there is to really do well with Dooku. I can't speak upon like getting 100 pluses with Dooku, but I can speak upon the basics. Now, this is where my understanding of Dooku really shines, and it is in HVV, Showdown, and 1v1s. Now, obviously, I'm going to start with HVV and Showdown first, and then I'll get into 1v1s later. So, HVV and Showdown. Here are the star cards that I would run. I'd run Sith Control, Initiative, and Dominance, obviously with an honorable mention there to last seconds, just based on the way I play Dooku. Just to mention other star cards that you can run, Finesse, Balance, Duelist. I put Blind Spot there, but it's a meme, so don't take it seriously. Superiority is sometimes useful. Sometimes. I'll get into that in a minute. And then Masterful Duelist is only there because I see people run it and some people like it, but again, I don't really recommend the card because it doesn't actually statistically increase your time to kill. Um, but yeah, so getting into really the star cards here, Sith Control is a no-brainer for Dooku pretty much at any point. Sith Control is probably one of his best cards as it helps his survivability incredibly. Initiative is because of that first hit, you're going to be dealing significantly more damage to someone, at least on the first parry. And he also gets it back for 15 after 15 seconds. However, every intermediate hit in between that first hit and that 15 seconds lowers it. So just for an example, let's say you get the first hit on a parry, and you get 3 hits after that, but don't kill them. You now get it 3 seconds faster on that specific cooldown. So instead of it being 15, it's now 12. And so now you get it back in that 12 seconds. Again, and it's only for that one specific time, so the next time it doesn't actually do it. But that's why I run it, is because of that 50 extra damage. And that 50 extra damage really does make a difference. You notice it. Dominance to me is my favorite card with Dooku because it's just so effective. But again, in HVV more than Showdown, I would say that Last Seconds or Balanced Duelist can really be put in that spot. However, in Showdown, I would seriously recommend Dominance, regardless of in 2v2s or 1v1s, because of how effective it is. I don't really need the stamina card. I want to just point that out. And as far as superiority goes, again, the extra 2 seconds is sometimes good. I just really don't like the other, uh, like, I don't really like that card over any of the other star cards. If you notice, Dooku has a lot of very good star cards, so that's why I put superiority on the outside and don't really run it. Now, just to very briefly explain the playstyle of the Dooku in these modes, I'll touch on HVV first and then Showdown after. So HVV realistically is you are playing within a team. Now you can take on like 2 or 3 people, but you really need finesse for that. So I don't really put myself in that position. But Dooku is easily the best 1v1 character in the game. Just easily. No question. Maybe besides Obi-Wan or Vader. But even then, Dooku can 3-hit people, regardless of if you're hitting them in the back. With Duelist dominance, he can 3-hit people. It's utterly ridiculous. But with that said, again, the same tip I've given in every hero guide: stay within your team and use your abilities to your greatest effect. Exposed weakness is probably the most annoying to deal with in a 1v3 situation. Like as far as if Dooku and like Kylo and Grievous or something along those lines is coming at you and you get hit by exposed weakness, you're screwed. Like there's no getting out of it. Dominance just makes that more effective. Me and Sharpshooter, when we do when we end up doing 2v2s, I run Kylo, he runs Dooku as our third round, and obviously me being the annoying asshole that I am, I do fourth frenzy on people who 2v2, at least most of the time. And he will put on Dooku dominance, and I'll frenzy the person who's dominanced, and he'll go for Duelist. And basically that person is dead. There is just physically no way they can live, especially if I get both hits through the block and also maybe another hit without the block breaker. So yeah, honestly, dominance and just exposed weakness in general is just a very good ability in these modes. Obviously, Duelist is his most effective, and Lightning Stun can be very annoying at times to deal with. So use Lightning Stun really to get that knockdown, and you can kind of get hits off of that. Now on to, as I've said in every video, my favorite section of the video, and it is 1v1s. This is mainly because, well, I love 1v1s in this game. The star cards pretty much remain the same as HVV. Sith control, initiative, dominance. I don't really ever switch out dominance, but the only reason I put last seconds there is because I used to run last seconds a lot. My original setup was Sith control, last seconds, dominance. And even before that, it was Sith control, finesse, last seconds. I never really used to like dominance, but you know, I've obviously grown a liking to it as it's very effective. The main reason I'm recommending specifically Sith Control Initiative Dominance is because that allows Dooku to basically deal the most damage possible while still having a lot of health regen. Master Duelist over Sith Control just isn't worth it. That's why it's not even on the screen. I have Finesse there because I've seen people run Sith Control, Finesse, and Initiative, which is a good setup. Don't get me wrong. I like having higher stamina, but honestly, with Dooku, it's not really necessary. Balanced Duelist is there just because it allows Duelist to come back, significantly faster than before. Superiority is only there because, well, it gets annoying being exposed weakness for longer than 5 seconds, to be honest. It's more there as an annoyance card. Obviously, I could have put Blind Spot there, but just no. I can only handle the memes for so many videos, and that will be one video, me recommending Critical Deflection a lot. Don't get me wrong, Critical Deflection is a great card, but Blind Spot I genuinely can't recommend. And that's not to say I recommend Critical Deflection seriously, but it actually does work sometimes. I'm not even joking. You can get bullets hit back at other people, but that's obviously not the point. Blind Spot is like a genuinely useless card. Like it increases the basically the cone, not the distance, but the actual cone itself of your FOV. I think that's really stupid. It's kind of like Finn's card. It doesn't actually increase the distance; it just increases the actual cone, which I think is really stupid. So that's why I don't recommend it. As far as the simple playstyle with Dooku and 1v1s, I'll settle this on briefly. Honestly, Dooku can be played as a damage output machine. Do not spam. Spam in 1v1s will not get you anywhere but death, because if the other person knows how to parry, you're already dead. Honestly, take it one hit at a time, and especially use Duelist Exposed Weakness together to be its most effective. Try and get the other person to attack first, and then read them from there. Honestly, Dooku's Hook Slash is also very good. There's also the thing where you can do one hit or two swings, I guess, one swing or two swings, and then go for a running Hook Slash, and you can kind of catch people off guard. It's very interesting. I would suggest watching Napalmed, especially because he's a far significantly better player than I am. So yeah, honestly, Dooku in 1v1s, crazy good. On to the final section of the video, and it is the Most Toxic Emote Award. Again, Sharpshooter and I came up with this, so credit to him. I believe that we have came up with a consensus of brave but foolish. Yes, over Sith control everything. I know, shocking revelations. Either way, spread toxicity. don't actually do that. But it's funny when you get emoted on. Alright guys, and that about wraps it up for this hero guide. Hope you guys enjoyed this Dooku hero guide, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!
I'm putting on my shades to cover up my eyes. I'm jumping in my ride, I'm heading out tonight. I'm solo, I'm Han Solo, I'm Han Solo, I'm Han Solo, solo. Picking up my blaster, putting it on my side. I'm jumping in my Falcon, whoopie at my side. I'm solo.